Okay, welcome back. Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Part 2. Now, there is something I forgot to tell you, and I need to tell you about this. And I should have told you this in the introduction video or in the beginning of Part 1, and I forgot, and I apologize. I was just too darn excited about getting into the story itself, into the poem itself. But I need to tell you this. Did you notice the title of this poem? It's called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Sure, rhyme. This is a poem, right? It all rhymes. But you may have noticed that it's not spelled Rhyme. No. It's spelled Rime, right? The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. That has two meanings. Now, for the first, remember I told you in the intro video, for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 years I taught this poem, I didn't really understand it that well. And one of the things I didn't understand was the alternate meaning of that word rhyme, Rime. One day, I still remember it, about 10 years ago, a student raised her hand and said, "Why does it misspell?" And I said, I don't know. Let's look that up. So we did, and we found out something very interesting. Rime, if something is rhymed, and it's spelled that way, Rimed, then it means it's covered in a thin layer of ice or snow. You've probably seen this in the wintertime. You go down to your car in the morning before you go to school or wherever, and there's a thin sheen of ice all over your car, and you either have to take your little ice chip thing and chip it off your windshield and off your side mirrors and off your back mirror and off your windows. And sometimes you can't even open your door, right? You have to keep pulling on it really hard. In some cases, you have to pour hot water down the cracks. There's even a little thing you can spray into it that warms it up so that you can open your car door and get in. That's because the car has been rhymed. It's been covered in ice or snow. So the cool thing about the title of this story is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It has the double meaning, right? This is a rhyme. He tells a story and he does it in rhyming format, right? Got that. But it's also somewhere in this story, something is going to be rhymed. It's going to be covered in frost or snow. And that actually happened in part 1, correct? When the ship gets pulled down to the South Pole and it gets stuck there and encapsulated by ice, it's rhymed. It's covered in ice and snow. And for those 9 days that they're stuck there, they're covered in a rhymed ship. It's always got that thin layer of ice or frost. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, let's go. Part 2 of The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So when we left off, the mariner did something really stupid, didn't he? And evil, kind of, in a weird way, right? He shot the bird that was helping him and them and the people. Because remember, they were pulled down by a storm. I think it was a test, but whatever. They were pulled down by a storm and they were stuck in the South Pole. They were encapsulated by ice. They were rhymed. The ship was covered in a thin layer of frost and snow, and they were stuck and they were looking like they were going to die until, of course, a great big bird, the albatross, flies into their view and it's hanging around them to the point where it actually becomes like kind of their pet. It hangs out for 9 days and 9 nights with them. It actually eats their food. They throw up food to it. It comes to the mariner's hollow, which means like the mariner kind of can call it to him and kind of becomes like its real pet. And lastly, it actually perches in the evenings for the Vesper services, the prayer services. So it's like becomes part of the crew. And not for nothing, after they praise it and do all that thing, all the niceness to it and treat it so well, the ice opens up and they're able to sail through and fly and sail out of there. And it looks like they're going to survive. When, of course, for no good reason at all, the mariner shoots the bird. I'm going to tell you, I can't speak for girls because I didn't grow up as one, but I did grow up as a young boy. And I will say that as a young boy, my friends and I, we definitely weren't not only good to each other all the time, but we weren't good to nature all the time either. I remember a time, I'll never forget this. We were at a place called Yanakaw Park in Montclair. I was with 5 of my buddies. One of them, his name was Min. And Min was very good at sports, excellent at sports. Whatever that kid did in sports, he did it well. He was the quarterback, the starting center, starting pitcher, played volleyball. He did it all. Give that kid a ball and he would excel, right? He would exceed at everything sports. So we're in this park. We're at the top of a hill, and down in the middle and the bottom in the valley, there's a big pond, the Yanakaw Pond. And in that pond that day, there happened to be about 3 or 4 ducks swimming around doing their thing. Min picked up a giant rock. It was like the size of a softball. And we were very far, a couple of 100 feet up above the hill. And he says, "Check this out, guys. Watch this. I'm going to nail one of those ducks." He takes this rock and he throws it way high into the air. And we're watching it. You know, from our vantage point, we can see it going up, 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 and then we see it start to come down. And we all start to realize as it's coming down that OMG, it's going to be close. It's a really good throw. As it's getting closer and closer to hitting these ducks, I kept my eyes on both Min and the ducks. And I could see a look of horror growing on Min's face. I don't think he meant to hit it. I think he was just trying to be cool. I think that's what was going on. I think that's what boys and sometimes men do. They try to show off their skills, right? Look what I can do. I can shoot a bird while it's flying in the air above me with my crossbow. That's how awesome I am. And Min thought, look, I can show to these guys just how great I am with my arm. As it's getting closer to this duck and duck, 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 Min starts freaking out and he actually screams out, no. Well, the rock hit the duck square. The rock went down, the duck went down. Neither of them came up. Neither of them. Min dropped to the ground, angrily screaming at him, no, no, no. My friends and I dropped to the ground, laughing our butts off. Why? Because we were dumb, because we were kids, right? So we're laughing at Min, we're laughing at the duck, right? The duck never came back. And Min, I'm going to say, from that day forward, he never threw anything at any animals again. He realized that day and that minute that that's just not who he was. And by the way, I understood it that minute as well, for myself as well. I felt awful, still do. That poor duck, man. What if it had like a duck wife at home or a duck husband and ducky kids, man? It had a duck job. I don't know. Duck friends. I don't know. And I never will know. But I will say this. If there was a Yannicka spirit, if there is one, it's definitely still mad at Min, undoubtedly so. But it's also mad at me and my friends. Why? It's true, because we laughed. We didn't automatically start excoriating Min, you bad person, how dare you do that? We didn't run in and try to find the duck, although there was no help in that duck, let me tell you right now. We didn't do anything except laugh about it. So we almost became part of his crime. So if I'm a Yannicka spirit, I am super duper mad at Min for killing my bird, but I'm also kind of mad at these 4 or 5 friends of his for laughing about it and not helping the bird. So that's my story about nature. And I'm going to tell you now, a lot of you are probably thinking, oh God, I did some bad things myself and I wish I hadn't have done those things. I hope you wish you hadn't have done those things. Let's find out what happens to the mariner and his crew, part 2. The sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he. Still hid in the mist and on the lift went down into the sea. So the fact that they're describing to us that the sun is now coming on the right and it goes down on the left tells us they're moving north, right? They're moving away from the South Pole. Let's go on. And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. His shipmates cry out against the ancient mariner for killing the bird of good luck. Okay, so first thing they do, and God bless them for doing it, they're like, dude, they yell at him. Why did you do that? Why did you kill that bird? It was a nice bird. It was, part of nature, and it may have even have been helping us. It may have been the one that we freed it. So they yell at the mariner for doing it. Now, if you're the South Pole spirit and you see this happening, you're still super pissed at the ancient mariner. That goes without saying. But the 200 shipmates, the crew, you're like, maybe they're not that bad. They're defending my bird. Let's see what happens. And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work 'em woe. For all averred, I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Ah, wretch, said they, the bird to slay that made the breeze to blow. So at first, they get mad at him because they say, you killed the bird that brought the breeze. Let's continue. But when the fog clears off, they justify the same and thus make themselves accomplices in the crime. Now, I'm going to point one thing out. While this was going on, right, and they were going north and the wind was happening, not only was the ship moving out of the danger behind them, the icebergs and all the crackling ice, but also they were surrounded by fog this whole time, right? I mean, but that's what happens when you're in a cold area moving into warm, you're cold and you move into warmer climates, fog forms, right? It's just natural. But they didn't understand that. So not only after after they kill the bird, first thing they do is yell at him, dude, why'd you do that? You killed that nice bird. But then all of a sudden the fog melts away, and like knuckleheads, they come to the conclusion, hey, wait a minute, maybe it was the bird that brought the fog and was keeping us stuck down here. So wait a minute, maybe you did a good thing. Nice job for killing that bird. He might have been the one that was messing with all this long. So if you're the South Pole spirit, you're like, wait, what did they just do? Because first I was on your side because you were yelling at him, but then the next thing you do is you're praising him for what you did, for what they just did. You're clapping him on the back. Great job for killing that bird. So now you're like, So now the South Pole spirit is not just after or angry at the mariner. Now he's angry at everybody. Listen. Nor dim nor red, like God's own head, the glorious sun uprist, then all averred. I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. 'Twas right, said they, such birds to slay, that bring the fog and mist. So the fair breeze continues. The ship enters the Pacific Ocean and sails northward until it reaches the line. All right, so the ship is still being carried out of the South Pole, and it's brought to the line, back to the equator. And that's where the punishment's going to begin. Listen. The fair breeze continues, did that. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew. The furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. So the ship suddenly becomes becalmed. So what's going on now is the South Pole spirit, we're going to find out later, is actually underneath the ship. And it's like controlling the ship. It's moving it with its power. It's moving the ship. It takes it to the equator where it stops the ship dead. And it just stops the waves, stops the wind, everything. And a ship like this can't move without wind, right? So it's totally trapped on the equator. Not a good place to be trapped. It would be bad to be trapped at the South Pole, but it's also pretty bad to be trapped at the equator. Why? It's extraordinarily hot, and there's not a lot of water to drink. Now, the irony is you're surrounded by billions of gallons of salt water, but of course you can't drink salt water because it kills you faster. It makes you dehydrate even faster. The salt brings out the moisture in your body. So they're in trouble now that they're stuck at this equator like this. Listen, let's go on. The ship had suddenly become becalmed. Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down, 'twas as sad could be. And we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right up above the mast did stand, no bigger than the moon. It's interesting because when you're in the South Pole and the sun comes up, you're like, yay, the sun, warmth, give us some warmth. But when you're at the equator and the sun is right up above you, you're like, it's burning me right now. And that's what they said. Look, it says, all in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon. So now it's like they're looking at it as a blood red sun because it's killing them, right? Day after day, we stuck, nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. And they're stuck there for days and days, and they're starting to die of dehydration. And they're probably going a little crazy as well. Listen. And the albatross begins to be avenged. What does it mean to avenge something? It means to take out your vengeance on somebody else because of something they've done to it. Who is avenging the bird? The spirit is. By the way, it says begins to be avenged. This is just the beginning of their punishment. This near-death experience sitting on the ocean at the equator, melting in the sun of dehydration. Listen, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. So they're dying. The very deep did rot. Oh Christ, that ever this should be. Yes, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. So you got to picture this. They're stuck on the ocean, right? They're not moving anywhere. And the only place they have to look out is out on the ocean or at each other. But a lot of the time they're going to be spent looking out, maybe looking for help, maybe looking for anything. And what do they see down in the seawater all around them? They call them slimy things with legs that crawled upon the slimy sea. So what animals, what sea creatures are there which might be deemed as slimy, right? Which are swimming around them and whatnot. There's probably squid. There's probably octopi, right? You got a couple of octopuses. Maybe there's some eels. Maybe there's some water snakes, right? Now I ask you this. Are they gross? Yes. But are they still part of nature? Yes. And let me ask you this. If you're a slimy octopus, do you think you're slimy and ugly? No. You think you're beautiful. You use your 8 arms to make yourself as beautiful as you can. And don't you dare call my little baby slimy and ugly. That's my baby octopus. I think he's beautiful. Are you getting the point here? These mariners, as they're looking out upon the sea and seeing all these creatures, they're calling them slimy. Ew, look at that. And in their hearts, they're being disgusted by them. Who's watching? Who's listening? Oh, yeah, the spirits, the South Pole spirit, the equator spirit. And they're thinking, wait a minute, stop. Not only did they kill my bird, but now they're calling my sea creatures slimy and gross as well. Oh, I don't think so. Those are my creatures. They're beautiful in their own way. They're part of nature. They're God's creatures. How dare they knock them like that? How dare they talk crap about them? This is what's happening. About, in reel and route. The death fires danced at night. The water, like a witch's oils, burned green and blue and white. All right, it is at this point. See, I've described this to you, that the spirit is under the ship and whatnot, but now he does in his italics, because people were calling him, well, not calling him, this is 1800, were like, coming to his house and like, dude, what the heck is going on? How did they get to the South Pole? What's controlling their ship? So he wrote in this little synopsis. Listen. A spirit had followed them, one of the invisible inhabitants of this planet, neither departed souls nor angels, concerned who the learned Jew Josephus and the Platonic Constantinopolitan Michael Celis may be consulted. They are very numerous, and there are no climate or element without one or more. So he's just describing what I've already described to you in the intro, that each of these sections of the earth has a corresponding spirit, which is in charge of it. And he's saying that it's, well, let's just listen, we'll hear more. Now that's where it gets weird. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. Stop. Look at those lines. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. So wait a minute. These guys all woke up one morning on the ship, and one of them goes, dude, I had the scariest dream last night. And another one was like, wait a minute, stop. So did I. And another one's like, I did too. And another one's like, wait a minute, talk about that dream. And the first one was like, well, I dreamed that there was a spirit. And another one was like, wait, stop. Is that spirit under our ship? Is that spirit bother? Is it taking us now? Is that spirit angry at us? So some of them had this dream. So now one person wakes up and tells me, I dreamt that there's a spirit guiding us this ship and that it's angry at us for what we did to the albatross. I'm looking at him like, dude, you're not getting enough water. You're losing your mind. But if 20, 30, 50, 80 of the sailors all wake up and they all say, dude, I had the exact same dream, now I'm getting nervous. So some in dreams were assured. 9 fathom deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. 9 fathom. Fathom is a nautical term. I think it's like a mile or something. So a couple of miles under the ship, or however many hundreds of feet under the ship, there's a spirit, and it's moving us, and it's angry at us for what we did to the albatross. Listen, and it's coming for us. And every tongue through utter drought was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. Why can't they speak? Why can't they scream out? Oh my God, we're in trouble. Why? Because they're so dehydrated, they don't have the ability to talk anymore. They have no moisture in their mouths and their lips. So the shipmates in their sore distress would fain throw the whole guilt on the mariner, in sign whereof they hang the dead sea bird around his neck. Okay, so if you're one of these crewmen, right, and you have had the dream that the spirit is after you because of what the mariner did to the bird, and it's also after you guys because you laughed about it and you told him it was a good thing to do, what do you want to tell and show the spirit, right? You want to show the spirit, it wasn't me, it was him. He did it. I just laughed, but I didn't kill anything. I never would have killed the bird. That guy did it right there. So how do you show the spirit that it was him, not you? This is what they do, and it's kind of crazy. Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. So they actually, it's crazy. They take this giant bird, which is like a 10-foot wingspan, it's probably 100 pounds at least, and they put a chain around the dead bird, and then they chain that chain around his neck. So now, walking around this ship, he's got this albatross necklace, this dead bird swinging from him, and they don't let him take it off. They force him to wear it. Remember, there's 200 of them and only one of him. And they say, you keep that on. You let the South Pole spirit, you know that it was you that did this evil thing. And the 200 crewmen are hoping beyond hope. Hey, maybe the spirit will let us go and just take him. And that's the end of part 2. Thank you very much. Have a great day.